Alright, it's Henry again, and this is my work in progress video for the Master Grade Wing Gundam Decals. This is the second one I've done. Didn't bother with an unboxing video because I already uploaded an unboxing video several years ago, so I didn't feel the need to do it twice. Anyway, this is actually going to be really similar to my first one in that it's just going to be a straight copy of the box art paint job. Luckily, I do have somewhere around here. I don't have them on hand, but I do have the Waterslide Decal sets for their set for this kit, the official one from Bandai. So I don't have to mess with these dry transfers and stickers, which don't look fun at all. So going to be painting this up in the standard colors and. No weathering, just a little bit of shading and panel lining and decals, and should be pretty quick and simple project. Alright, I haven't really done a tutorial or really even showed this off in any of my work in progress videos, I don't think, but this would be a really good opportunity. Sometimes when you've got a lot of seam lines on a kit, and there are a lot on Master Grade Wing Gundam Decals, you have to fix seam lines where there are multiple colors being put together, which means one of two things. You're either going to have to do a lot of masking when it comes to painting, or you're going to have to creatively find a way to modify the parts so that they can be assembled after being painted. And that's what I'm doing here on the wings, because almost every part of the wings has a seam line on. The white parts have a seam line that goes along the entire outside edge. These blue parts, red parts here, the yellow parts don't have any seam lines. But a lot of seam lines, and they're arranged in such a way that you, when you put them together, there's no taking them apart after the seam lines have been cemented, unless you modify them. So that's what I'm doing here. So what I've done is I've cemented the white part, two halves, just put them together. I've already done a little bit of cutting. I cut some plastic here. I'll talk about that in a minute. So first up, we got this part right here, so red part, two halves cemented together. Fix the seam line on that, and it's supposed to go right there, up under that white part, like so. And as you can see with a hole there, there's a little peg that's supposed to go through that hole. Really no way to do it unless you modify it. So what I've done is I've cut that part in half, and now after these two parts are painted, I can just slot this guy in like that, glue that in place, and then likewise with the bottom part, put that in there, glue that in place, and bam, you're done. Next up, we got this red part. Again, same kind of situation, not quite as complicated. Haven't cut these parts yet, so I'll just do this on camera. Just take your nippers, cut that away, and if you're not used to using glue on your kits, this is a technique where you're going to have to use glue, because I've modified this now so this can just slide. Did I do it the right way? Yeah. There we go. So that can just slide up. Might not have cut quite enough plastic away. Try that. There we go. That should get it. Like, friction may keep it in place pretty well. It's not wanting to go for some reason. A lot of trial and error in this, as you can tell. I think it's this piece of plastic. There we go. Perfect, perfect. So yeah, that one actually friction is keeping that in place pretty well. So glue might not be necessary on that guy. But like this one, as you can see, he fell out. So that's definitely going to have to be glued in place after the kit gets painted. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Luckily, these two parts, the seam lines, are covered up by the yellow parts. There's a seam line right there, but how's it go? No? Yeah, it's this way. This yellow guy covers up the seam line, so no problem there. This one, on the other hand, this is probably the trickiest one to figure out. Originally, these two parts were one solid piece. They were connected like that, and they had to go onto the wing like so. And there's a seam, just a small, like not even a centimeter long seam line right there, but I still wanted to get rid of it. So what I had to end up doing was I cemented the two halves of this together. I cut this fin off, just used a hobby knife, cut that off, and then I cut away some plastic right here on the white part. So now this guy can just slide on like so, and then, oops, after painting, the yellow part goes on, that seam line will be filled in, and this will be covering up part of that part like so, and then I can just go in with some glue and glue that little blue fin in right there. So that's just showing off some of the tricks you can do with modifying your parts to assemble them after the seam lines are fixed. Likewise, here's another easy one on the Buster rifle. You got this yellow part down here. Originally it had some little tabs that were supposed to be up inside the gun. I just clipped those tabs off, so now that it's cemented together, you can just slide that yellow part right in there, no problem, without having to worry about masking or busting the seams. Likewise, there's a very similar problem on the head. The head has a seam line going all the way around it because it's just two halves that are put together, and then you got the face and the forehead camera in there, which would make painting a huge pain in the butt. So what I've done, and I've seen other, in fact I got this idea from watching other modelers do it, I left the clear part up inside the head. Zoom in. The clear part is still up inside there. I just cut the eyes and the forehead camera off of it. So now I can paint the face separately and the head separately, and then once everything is painted, I just slide this guy up in here, and then I just glue that in place, and the head's done. And then I just take the forehead camera, paint that clear green or whatever color it's supposed to be, and then just glue that down in there. So that's my fix for the head. And likewise, you could just paint the face first, leave it in there, paint the face first, cover it up with masking tape, then put the head together, fix the seam line, then paint the head, remove the masking tape. You'd still have to clip off this little forehead camera though, but this is just the easiest way to do it with the least amount of masking. of doing decals and about to do what is honestly the most difficult decal on this entire kit. This big Colonies Liberation Organization decal. Where's my Q-tip? Here we go. Gently slide that guy off. There we go. What makes this decal so difficult is that it has to go into this crease right here. And, as you can see, it's really hard to line up. I have to add some more mark setter. And move this around because it's not in the exact position I wanted it to be. So I just gotta scooch this over, scooch this tiny little stripe over. Like Katoki's kits, the Verka Master Grades, everybody knows they have a lot of decals. But honestly, most of them, the decals aren't very difficult. Unicorns and Anju, New Gundam, decals weren't very hard at all. Wing Gundam Verka's decals are genuinely difficult, just because of the placement of them. I think this is probably the kit that originally gave Verka Master Grade such a bad reputation for decals in the first place. And just because I know you're going to ask about it, I'm going to show you a trick for getting Wing Gundam to hold his Buster Rifle properly. Okay, so what you're going to need is a pin vise and a small drill bit. You're going to need some metal rods. I'm using brass. Honestly, you could use a paper clip if you really wanted to. And a little bit of super glue. So what I've done is I've drilled 2 small holes into the palm of Wing Gundam's hand. There's a seam line, seam line right down the middle of the hand right there. Basically, I've done 1 hole above the seam line and 1 hole below the seam line. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of super glue, just a tiny dab, do not need a whole lot, on the end of this metal rod. I'm going to stick it down inside that hole. Then I've used wire cutters to cut that off. So it's about that long, just a few millimeters. And then we're going to repeat and do the exact same thing on that bottom hole. Now the reason we're using 2 holes instead of just 1 is because if we just have 1 hole, he'll be holding the Buster Rifle, but the hole in the handle will allow the rifle to swing and swivel, really is the best word, on this little metal rod. And to prevent it from swiveling back and forth, we simply add 2 metal rods. Straighten these out so they're nice and parallel. Okay, so we've got 2 metal pins in the hand right here. Now the Buster Rifle is going to go in the hand just like so. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to get the ends of these metal rods nice and inked up. And while that ink is still wet, I'm going to take the handle right where it's supposed to go. I'm going to press those metal rods right on the handle. And what that's going to do is it's going to leave 2, can't see them very well, but they're right there, 2 little marks that'll show us where to drill our holes. Alright, so you can see I've drilled 1 hole. Now I'm just going to go in and drill the other one. Now just the way that the palm wraps around the hand. These holes are going to be very close to the edge of the handle, so you got to be careful while you're drilling these small holes that they don't accidentally go over the edge. Alright, so I got my 2 holes drilled in the handle, went all the way through. I know it looks kind of unsightly, but his hand's going to be wrapped around it anyway, so you're not even going to see it. Got the 2 pins, and we just slot those right in there like so. Swing the thumb around, close the fingers, and Wing Gundam is not ever going to drop this. That is as solid a connection as you can get. So you will not ever have to worry about him dropping his Buster Rifle now that you got those 2 pins in there. And moving on to the weathering. I actually already did the chipping. Just did chipping with a sponge. And now I'm using a real touch marker to add a few little streaks and stains and stuff. I apologize if this video is almost identical to my work in progress video for real grade Wing Gundam EW, but that's what the customer wanted, so I just happened to end up doing 2 of almost the exact same model kit and paint job in a row. So, but this is my last commission that I have lined up, so that's good. After this I can finally start working on some of my own projects for a change. And I think you guys will like what I've got coming up in the next few months. So same process that I did on the real grade. Just anywhere where there would be moisture accumulation causing rust, or anywhere where, like along panel lines and joints and stuff, just add a little bit of the real touch and then pull down with a Q-tip. Makes a quick, efficient little streaking effect. Doesn't really get much easier than this. Alrighty, the Master Grade Wing Gundam Verka is complete. I'm actually, I think I like this one better than the first one I did back in, what was that, 2011, I think, somewhere around there. The shading and the airbrushing is very similar to the last time I did it, but I think the colors came out a bit better. I like the colors I used better this time around. I didn't do any weathering the first time, but the weathering on this guy is really simple. It's just a little bit of sponge chipping and some streaking. But overall, really nice. As you can see, the Buster Rifle hand mod is holding up very well. Shake him, he is not dropping that thing at all. So, I'll do a little zoom in here. get you some close-ups. Didn't use any of the stickers and drive transfers, left all those in the package. I did use a silver sticker up under that search eye on the chest. That's really, really nice looking. Got a pack of these from High Q Parts. Make sure he doesn't fall over. They're basically just silver stickers, all in different circles of different diameters. And they're a lot more reflective. They're a lot shinier than the stickers that come with Bandai kits. So I think that ended up looking a whole lot better than the sticker that Bandai gave us. But overall, everything turned out well. Decals were tricky as usual, like they always are on Wing Gundam Verka. But all's well that ends well. So, got these little blue fins glued in place. They seem to be pretty stable, so I don't think I'll have any problems with those. So everything, I think, is going to be alright. Here's the little Hiro Yui pilot figure right there. Doesn't have his hand in front of his face like the real grade, but he's just standing there. This was made back in the day when the pilot figures didn't have a little stand so they could stand up properly, so I just cut out a little rectangle of ply plate and cemented him on there. Only took about 5 seconds. So that about does it for this work in progress video and this project. Turned out pretty happy. I think the customer will like it as well. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.